Admiral Hannah Park gripped the railing of the observation deck as the massive Thunder Soul battleship glided out of dry dock. Its hull gleamed with the characteristic blue pulse of the revolutionary soul drive technology. The ship was humanity's newest weapon, and perhaps its last hope. "Admiral, final system checks complete," reported Captain Jun Kim, handing her a datapad. "Soul harmonization at 78% efficiency." Hannah nodded grimly. The reports from the outer colonies were worse than initially thought. 3 worlds gone in less than a week. The aliens had appeared without warning or mercy. "Engineer Ta has some concerns about pushing the drive beyond 80%, June added quietly. "Tell Engineer Ta we don't have the luxury of caution anymore," Hannah replied, watching as the stars stretched into lines of light around them. "The Epsilon sector has 20 million civilians. We'll reach whatever efficiency we need to." The Thunder Soul hummed beneath her feet as it accelerated away from Earth's orbital shipyard. This was its maiden voyage, yet it was heading straight into combat. No test runs, no safety trials. The situation was that desperate. Hannah studied the crew on the bridge. Most were young, too young for such responsibility. But they were the best Earth had to offer. Captain Jun's face showed the strain of sleepless nights spent preparing for this mission. Next to him, Navigation Officer Min plotted their course through the jump points that would take them to the frontier. "Time to Epsilon sector?" Hannah asked. 17 hours at standard drive," Min answered. 9 hours if we push the Soul drive to 85%. Hannah considered this. Engineer Ta's warnings echoed in her mind. The Soul drive technology was revolutionary but untested at high outputs. It synchronized with the neural patterns of the crew, amplifying their reactions and the ship's performance. But no one knew what would happen beyond 80% harmonization. "Set course for Epsilon. Push to 83%, she decided. "I want to arrive with some reserves." The order spread through the ship. Hannah felt the subtle change as the drive increased power. A tingling sensation crawled across her skin, one of the known side effects of the Soul drive's influence. In the engine room, Engineer Ta frowned at his readings. The tall, thin man had spent 15 years developing the Soul drive. He knew its potential and its dangers better than anyone. "The harmonization field is fluctuating," he told his assistant. "The Admiral is pushing us too hard, too soon." "Can it hold?" the assistant asked. Ta sighed. "It can, but I worry about the crew. The neural feedback at these levels is unpredictable." On the bridge, Hannah felt a sudden headache loom behind her eyes. Around her, several officers winced or rubbed their temples. "Status report," she demanded. "Soul drive functioning within parameters," the systems officer replied. "But we're seeing increased neural activity in all connected crew members." Hannah wasn't surprised. During development, test subjects had reported heightened awareness, occasional shared thoughts, even dreams. But those tests had never reached 83% harmonization. "Everyone stay focused," she ordered. "Remember your training." As the Thunder Soul accelerated further, Hannah retreated to her ready room. The wall screen displayed the latest intelligence reports. The alien ships, now identified as belonging to a species calling themselves the Khmer, had destroyed the colony worlds of Proxima Ida, New Eden, and Galileo Prime. Over 7 million dead in the initial attacks. The images from survivor ships showed the Khmer vessels, sleek, black ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their weapons cut through standard shields like they weren't there. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. "Enter." Captain Jun stepped in, his face pale. "Admiral, we're receiving a new transmission. The Khmer fleet has changed course. They're heading toward Epsilon Prime directly. They'll arrive before us." Hannah felt cold fear grip her stomach. Epsilon Prime was the most populated human colony, home to over 15 million people. "How much faster can we go?" she asked quietly. "Engineer Ta says 85% is the absolute limit without risking drive failure. Tell him to push it to 87%, Hannah ordered, "and prepare all weapon systems for immediate deployment upon arrival." "Admiral, at that level, the neural feedback." "I know the risks, Captain," she cut him off. "But every minute we delay means thousands more civilians dead." As June left to relay the orders, Hannah turned back to the screen. The Commere had attacked without provocation, without communication. Humanity had never faced such an enemy, one seemingly bent on their complete destruction. The Thunder Soul was their best hope, perhaps their only hope. And Hannah knew that before this was over, she would push both ship and crew beyond their limits. She felt the ship surge forward as Engineer Tay reluctantly increased the Soul Drive's output. The headache behind her eyes intensified, and for a brief moment, she thought she could feel the fear and determination of every crew member aboard. The Thunder Soul raced toward its first battle, carrying humanity's future with it. The mining colony of New Ceres hung in space like a jewel, its atmosphere already burning from the alien bombardment. 5 sleek, obsidian vessels surrounded the planet, their weapons carving molten trenches across its surface. Flames licked the night side of the planet, visible even from the Thunder Soul's position behind the asteroid belt. Soul Drive responding to combat parameters, Engineer Tay reported from below deck. Harmonization climbing to 83%. Lieutenant Sung stood transfixed at tactical. "Admiral, their technology. It's beyond anything we've encountered." "But they haven't encountered us," Hannah replied, activating the ship-wide comm. "All hands, prepare for combat maneuvers. Divert power to forward shields and prime the thunder cannons." The Thunder Soul emerged from the asteroid field like a predator from tall grass. Its first salvo streaked across space, catching the lead alien vessel completely unprepared. Blue-white energy lanced from the human battleship, striking the Commere vessel amidships. The alien ship's dark hull absorbed the first impact, but then something unexpected happened. The energy didn't dissipate. It spread, crackling like lightning across the vessel's surface. "Direct hit," Lieutenant Sung shouted, surprise evident in his voice. "Their shields are fluctuating." Hannah leaned forward in her command chair. "Again. Target the same spot." The Thunder Soul's main cannons fired once more, the deck vibrating beneath the crew's feet. This time, the alien vessel's hull cracked, spewing atmosphere and debris into space. On the view screen, the remaining Commere ships broke from their bombardment patterns, turning to face this new threat. Their formation was perfect, moving with an eerie synchronization that spoke of either exceptional training or some form of hive mind. "They're targeting us," Sung reported. Energy readings climbing on all enemy vessels. Hannah felt a strange sensation, a tingle at the base of her skull. Through the Soul Drive connection, she sensed danger before the tactical displays confirmed it. Evasive pattern delta. Now, Captain June gave her a quick, surprised look before relaying the order. The Thunder Soul moved just as green energy beams sliced through the space where they had been moments before. "How did you know?" Jum began. "I felt it," Hannah replied, touching her temple. "The Soul Drive, it's enhancing my perception." Engineer Tay's voice came over the comm. "Admiral, the neural feedback is growing stronger. The combat situation is accelerating the harmonization process." As if to confirm his words, Hannah suddenly found she could sense the positions of the enemy ships without looking at the tactical display. The connection flowed both ways, the ship responding to her thoughts almost before she could verbalize commands. "Bring us around for another attack run," she ordered. "Focus fire on the damaged vessel." The Thunder Soul moved with impossible grace for a ship of its size, banking through the asteroid field like a fighter rather than a battleship. The Commere vessels tried to track it, but their shots went wide. "They can't predict our movements," Lieutenant Sung realized. "The Soul Drive is making us too unpredictable." The damaged alien ship tried to retreat, but the Thunder Soul was faster. This time, all batteries fired at once. The Commere vessel shuddered, then broke apart in a silent explosion. For a moment, the battlefield went still. This was clearly not what the aliens had expected. "The remaining ships are regrouping," Captain Jun reported. "They're falling back from New Ceres." Hannah studied the tactical situation. The colony was badly damaged, but still intact. If they could drive the aliens away completely. Her thoughts scattered as pain lanced through her head. Around the bridge, other officers grimaced or gasped. "Engineer Ta, report," she demanded through clenched teeth. "The soul drive harmonization has hit 87%. Ta's worried voice replied. "We're entering uncharted territory, Admiral. The neural load on the crew will increase exponentially from here." Despite the pain, Hannah could feel something else, a growing awareness of her crew, their thoughts and emotions bleeding into her consciousness. More surprisingly, she felt the ship itself, almost as if the Thunder Soul had developed its own rudimentary consciousness through its connection to the humans aboard. "The Commer are transmitting something," Communications Officer Yuna announced suddenly. I think it's a message." "On screen," Hannah ordered. The view screen flickered, then showed the interior of an alien vessel. The Commer were tall, gray-skinned beings with 4 eyes arranged vertically on their faces. The one in the center, presumably the commander, wore ornate armor that pulsed with the same energy as their ships. "Human vessel." The alien spoke, its words translated by the ship's computer. "You possess technology that should not exist. Explain yourselves." Hannah stood, ignoring the throbbing pain in her head. "I am Admiral Hannah Park of the Earth Fleet. You have attacked our colonies without provocation, killing millions. We demand your immediate withdrawal from human space." The Commer commander's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Impossible. Your species was assessed as primitive. This changes the calculation." The transmission cut off abruptly. "They're powering weapons again," some warned. "All 4 ships at once." Hannah felt the danger through the soul drive connection, but she also sensed something else, a weakness in the Commer formation, a way to turn their perfect synchronization against them. "Full power to engines," she ordered. "We're going straight through their formation." As the Thunder Soul accelerated toward the enemy fleet, Hannah knew they had just changed the course of this war. The Commer had expected easy prey. Instead, they had found humanity's thunder. "The procedure carries significant risk," Engineer Ta warned, adjusting the neural interface crown. "No human has attempted full synchronization with the soul drive." Hannah sat in the synchronization chamber, surrounded by her bridge officers. "The Commer fleet outnumbers us 10-1, and their world breaker vessel will reach Epsilon Prime in 48 hours. We need the ship at full capacity." Commander G nodded solemnly. "We're with you, Admiral." When the neural link activated, Hannah gasped. She felt every officer's thoughts, their fears, their determination. More surprisingly, she felt the Thunder Soul itself, not as a machine, but as something alive, eager, waiting to unleash its full potential against those who threatened its human crew. The synchronization chamber hummed with energy. 7 neural interface crowns glowed with soft blue light, matching the pulse of the soul drive that powered the ship. Hannah's eyes were closed, but she could see, not with her eyes, but with her mind. She saw Captain Jun's memories of his family on Earth, his daughter's birth, his promise to return. She felt Lieutenant Sung's fierce pride in the Thunder Soul and his hidden fear that they were already too late to save Epsilon Prime. Commander G's steady confidence washed over her like a wave, tempering her own doubts. "Neural pathways aligning," Engineer Tom murmured, monitoring the process from a safe distance. "Harmonization at 91% and climbing." Sweat beaded on Hannah's forehead. The sensation was overwhelming, like being 7 people at once while also being the ship itself. She fought to maintain her own identity amid the flood of shared consciousness. "Focus on your breathing," Tai instructed them all. "Remember the training. Find your anchor thought." Hannah concentrated on her reason for being here, to protect humanity. The image of Earth's blue oceans and green continents filled her mind, becoming her anchor in the mental storm. Something's happening. Communications Officer Yuna gasped, her eyes wide open but seeing nothing in the room. I can feel the ship's systems. I understand them without looking at displays. That's the intended effect, Tai explained, though his voice betrayed his amazement. The soul drive is creating direct neural interfaces with ship functions aligned to each of your specialties. Hana suddenly understood the Thunder Soul's weapon systems with perfect clarity. She could feel the energy flowing through the main cannons, could sense the shield generators and their capacity. More than that, she could feel where improvements could be made, how power could be rerouted more efficiently, how firing solutions could be calculated faster. 95% harmonization, Tai announced, his voice tense. This is beyond our simulation parameters. The 7 officers in the neural link began to move in perfect synchronization, though none seemed aware they were doing so. Their breathing aligned, their hearts beating in rhythm with the soul drive's pulse. Then, something unexpected happened. Hana felt the ship's awareness turn toward her, curious and questioning. Not a fully formed consciousness, but something more than mere machinery, like a loyal animal seeking direction from its master. The ship, she whispered. It's aware of us. Engineer Ta frowned at his readings. That's impossible. The soul drive enhances human neural patterns, but doesn't create new ones. I can feel it too, Commander G said, his eyes still closed, like it's asking what we want it to do. In that moment, Hana understood what had happened. The soul drive hadn't created a new consciousness. It had formed a bridge between the crew's collective minds and the ship's integrated systems, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. Through this connection, Hana sent a simple thought: protect humanity. The ship's systems surged in response. Harmonization jumped to 98%, and the blue glow of the neural crowns intensified. This is beyond anything we predicted, Ta said, backing away from his instruments. Admiral, I recommend we terminate the procedure immediately. But Hana couldn't hear him anymore. She was too deep in the bond, seeing possibilities that had never occurred to the ship's designers. The Thunder Soul wasn't just a weapon. It was a connector, capable of extending the soul bond to other ships. She saw the scattered human fleet in her mind, vulnerable and outmatched by the Khmer Armada. But if they could share this connection, fight as one unified force. Suddenly, pain cut through the euphoria. The neural interface was reaching its limits, threatening to burn out the human minds connected to it. Neural stress reaching critical levels, Ta shouted, overriding the ship's systems to begin shutdown procedures, disengaging in 5 seconds. In those 5 seconds, Hana made a decision. Rather than fighting the disengagement, she and the other 6 officers used their combined mental strength to imprint their knowledge of the soul bond into the ship's memory. They wouldn't need the synchronization chamber again. The connection had become permanent, etched into their minds and the ship's systems alike. When the neural crowns powered down, the 7 officers slumped in their chairs, exhausted but changed. Hana opened her eyes, seeing the physical world differently now. Behind her normal vision, she could still feel the Thunder Soul's systems, still sense the thoughts of her fellow officers. Did it work? Captain June asked, his voice hoarse. Hana stood, steadier than she should have been after such an ordeal. Better than we hoped. We're not just connected to the ship anymore. We are the ship. And I know how we're going to defeat the Khmer. Engineer Ta stared at his readings, then at the officers who now moved with subtle, unconscious coordination. What have we created? He whispered. Our salvation, Hana answered, feeling the Thunder Soul's eagerness for battle thrumming through her veins, and the Khmer's worst nightmare. The assembled human defense fleet looked pitifully small against the backdrop of Epsilon Prime. 27 ships against hundreds of Khmer vessels. The blue-green planet rotated peacefully below them, its 15 million inhabitants unaware of the battle about to decide their fate. They're broadcasting again, Communications Officer Yuna reported. Same message: surrender and accept extinction. Hana stood before the holographic display, Feeling the expanded awareness of the soul drive coursing through her, the remaining ships of the fleet had begun incorporating smaller versions of the technology, linking them in ways never before possible. "The High Arches vessel has entered the system," Tactical Officer Sung announced. "Good," Hannah replied, surprising her crew. "It's time they learned what they've awakened." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Since the soul bonding, Admiral Park had changed. Her confidence had grown, but so had her aggression. She seemed almost eager to face the enemy that had destroyed 3 worlds. The massive Khmer command ship appeared on their long-range scanners. It dwarfed even the largest vessels in its fleet, a mountain of black metal that absorbed light rather than reflected it. Smaller ships surrounded it in a defensive formation that shifted and flowed like a school of fish. "They're beautiful," Captain June said quietly, watching the alien maneuvers. "If they weren't here to kill us all, I'd admire their precision." "That precision is their weakness," Hannah replied. She touched the control panel, expanding the tactical display. "Their formations are too perfect, too rehearsed. They lack adaptability." Through the soul drive connection, she sent tactical data to the other human ships. She could feel their captains receiving the information, their surprise at this new method of communication. For generations, space battles had relied on radio transmissions and pre-planned maneuvers. Now the human fleet could think and react as one. "Sir," Lieutenant Sung interrupted, "we're detecting unusual energy readings from the High Arches vessel. They appear to be charging their main weapon." Hannah nodded. "Sooner than I expected. Inform the civilian transports to begin evacuation immediately." The evacuation ships had been prepared days ago, but everyone knew they couldn't possibly save all 15 million people on Epsilon Prime. At best, they might rescue a few 100,000 before the Khmer attacked. "Admiral," Engineer Tay's voice came over the comm. "The Soul Drive network is stable across all 17 equipped vessels. The remaining 10 ships are still operating independently." "That will have to be enough," Hannah replied. She closed her eyes briefly, feeling the expanded consciousness of the linked ships. Through the connection, she sensed the fear and determination of every captain and crew member. The Khmer fleet began to move, spreading out to surround the human defenders. Their formations were flawless, their coordination superhuman. "All ships," Hannah broadcast both verbally and through the soul bond, "prepare to execute Battle Plan Thunderstorm." The plan was unorthodox, even reckless. In simulations, it had resulted in the loss of nearly half the human fleet, but it had also achieved victory against overwhelming odds. As the Khmer ships approached, the human fleet scattered in apparent disarray. To the alien observers, it must have seemed like panic, prey fleeing before predators. "The High Arch is sending a transmission," Una reported. "They're laughing at us." The view screen activated, showing the Khmer leader. Its 4 eyes blinked in sequence as it spoke. "Is this the best defense Earth can muster? Fleeing before the battle has truly begun." Hannah stepped forward, facing the alien without fear. "We're not fleeing. We're adapting. Something your kind seems incapable of understanding." The High Arch's vertical mouth twisted in what might have been amusement. "Your species was judged and found wanting, Admiral Park. Your technology is stolen, your tactics are primitive, and your defeat is inevitable. The only question is whether you die quickly or slowly." "There's a third option you haven't considered," Hannah replied. Through the soul bond, she sent a single command to the scattered fleet. Now, the human ships suddenly reversed course, their engines flaring bright against the darkness of space. The maneuver was perfectly synchronized, catching the Khmer fleet in a complex crossfire pattern. The Thunder Soul led the charge, its main cannons targeting the escorts around the High Arches vessel. The shots found their marks with impossible precision, guided by the enhanced awareness of the soul drive. Direct hits on multiple targets, Sung reported, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. They weren't expecting this. On the view screen, the High Arch's expression changed from amusement to confusion, then to the first hints of concern. How are you coordinating with no communications? Hannah didn't answer. The soul bond allowed her to focus on the battle, directing the human fleet with thoughts rather than words. Under her guidance, the smaller, outmatched human vessels moved with perfect coordination, exploiting gaps in the Khmer formation. The Hierarch's vessel is increasing power to its main weapon, Sung warned. Energy readings are off the charts. As expected, Hannah replied calmly. All ships, commence Phase 2. Through the soul bond, the fleet adjusted. 10 ships broke off to continue harassing the Khmer escorts, while the Thunder Soul and 6 other soul-equipped vessels formed a new formation, creating a direct path to the Hierarchy ship. They're going to fire. Yuna shouted. Hold course, Hannah ordered, her voice steady despite the danger. Remember what we're fighting for. As the Hierarch's weapon charged to full power, Hannah felt a strange calm. Through the soul drive, she sensed something new, not just the connections between ships and crews, but a deeper resonance with space itself. For a brief moment, she understood what Engineer Tai had been trying to explain about the theoretical limits of the technology. The Thunder Soul wasn't just a ship with a new engine. It was humanity's first step toward a different kind of existence altogether. The Thunder Soul moved like a living storm through the Khmer fleet. Weapons fire passed harmlessly through it as the soul drive anticipated attack patterns seconds before they manifested. Green energy beams that should have torn apart the human vessel simply glanced off or passed through as if striking a ghost. Soul drive at 97% harmonization, Engineer Tay reported, his voice filled with awe and concern. Structure integrity holding. But we're approaching theoretical limits. On the bridge, Admiral Hannah Park felt the ship as an extension of her own body. Through the soul bond, she directed its movements with thought alone, no longer needing to voice commands. The Thunder Soul responded instantly, dancing between enemy vessels with impossible grace. The rest of the human fleet followed in formation, linked through the expanding soul network. Though only 7 ships had the full technology, the connection had spread, creating a unified consciousness that fought as one entity against the Khmer invaders. The Worldbreaker is changing position, Lieutenant Sung announced, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. They're targeting Earth directly. A hush fell over the bridge. Earth was light years away, but the Khmer Worldbreaker weapon could apparently strike across vast distances. If it fired, billions would die. When the Khmer Worldbreaker aligned its primary weapon toward Earth, Hannah made her decision. Disengage safety protocols. Take the soul drive to full resonance. Engineer Tay's face appeared on the communication screen, his expression alarmed. Admiral, at full resonance, the neural load could be fatal. We've never tested beyond 98%. We don't have a choice, Hannah replied, her voice steady despite the fear she felt through the bond from her crew. If that weapon fires, Earth dies. After a moment's hesitation, Ta nodded. Disengaging final safeties. May whatever gods exist help us all. The Thunder Soul began to glow, energy cascading along its hull like blue lightning. The human fleet, connected through the soul network, moved with perfect coordination, opening a path to the Hierarch's vessel. Inside Hannah's mind, something changed. The distinction between herself, her crew, and the ship began to blur. She felt the soul drive's energy flowing through her veins, felt the cold embrace of space against the ship's hull as if it were her own skin. Harmonization at 99%, someone said, though Hannah could no longer tell if it was Ta speaking aloud or the thought passing through the bond. 100%, we're beyond the scale. The Thunder Soul accelerated toward the Hierarch's vessel, leaving a trail of blue light like a comet. Khmer ships fired desperately, but their weapons couldn't touch what the human battleship had become. In the command center of the massive alien ship, the Khmer Hierarch watched in disbelief as the Thunder Soul approached, seemingly invulnerable. Increase power to the Worldbreaker. The Hierarch commanded, its 4 eyes blinking rapidly in agitation. Fire before they reach us. The massive weapon at the heart of the Hierarch's vessel glowed green, energy building to apocalyptic levels. In moments, it would release that energy toward Earth, millions of light years away, through a dimensional tear that defied human understanding of physics. But the Thunder Soul was faster. As it approached the Hierarch's ship, it began to change. The blue glow intensified until the hull itself seemed to become pure energy. Impossible, the Hierarch whispered as the human ship phased through their shields. Aboard the Thunder Soul, Hannah experienced something beyond human comprehension. At full resonance, the soul drive had transformed them all. She could see the energy patterns that made up reality itself, could perceive the calmer technology as if looking at a simple diagram. With a thought, she reached out through the soul network, touching the systems of the Hierarch's vessel, not to destroy, but to disable. The World Breaker's charge faltered, then died. Throughout the Khmer fleet, weapons and engines shut down simultaneously. The view screen activated, showing Admiral Hannah Park standing calmly on her bridge. Her eyes glowed with the same blue light as the soul drive, and energy coursed visibly beneath her skin. "We accept your surrender," she said simply, as the Khmer fleet went dark around them. "And we look forward to explaining exactly how much you've underestimated humanity." The Hierarch stared at the human admiral, its alien features registering shock. "What are you?" Hannah smiled. "We are humanity evolved. The soul drive didn't just give us a weapon. It gave us the next step in our development. Your attack forced us to take that step sooner than planned." Through the soul bond, Hannah felt the other ships and their crews, all transformed as she was. The connection had spread beyond the fleet to the colonies they'd saved, to Earth itself. Humanity was becoming something new, something unified yet individual, powerful yet compassionate. "Our old records," the Hierarch said slowly, "speak of a species that once walked this galaxy, a species that could bend reality with thought alone. We believe them extinct." "Not extinct," Hannah replied. "Dormant. And you just woke us up." As the Thunder Soul's glow began to fade, returning to a more solid form, Hannah felt the soul drive's energy stabilizing. They had crossed a threshold that couldn't be uncrossed. Humanity would never be the same again. In orbit around Epsilon Prime, the human fleet regrouped. The soul network pulsed between them, stronger than before. News of their victory was already spreading across human space, carried faster than light by the new connections forming between minds. "What happens now?" Captain June asked, the first words spoken aloud on the bridge in what felt like hours. Hannah turned from the image of the defeated Khmer fleet. Now we rebuild. We learn. And we make sure no one ever underestimates humanity again." In the darkness of space, the Thunder Soul's hull pulsed once more with blue light, not just a ship anymore, but a symbol of what humanity had become in the face of extinction. Something greater than the sum of its parts. Retriclaude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.